Yeah, I've been on Facebook and online. I've been associating with Achutanandana. He's in Alachua, and what I've been
The
doing is
Achutananda?
the Achutananda. Yes,
Oh,
and he's been reading Chaitanya Chaitamrita, and they've been having discussions, and I've been listening to their discussions. He has wonderful memories of Srila Prabhupada. He has wonderful uh, recollection of shlokas and pastimes and what Prabhupada said. But when it came to the direction of management and restoring ISKCON to its original glory, he has no clue about all these things. You know, he knows the shlokas, he knows, but he's also confused on the Guru Tattva part. He thinks that Sridhar Maharaj is a contemporary of Srila Prabhupada, and that is obviously, far, far away from what actually Prabhupada has said. And I can see that you can say, he's been contaminated by this association of this other.
oh, Sridhar? Yeah,
Yes.
Sridhar is the person he didn't want to live with.
Yeah, so he's glorifying Sridhar Maharaj at one side, and he's putting him
Well, wanting him
on
to
the
do
same.
what? On the
Huh?
same level as Prabhupada?
Yes, yes,
Oh, then he obviously didn't understand anything about Prabhupada.
yes, yes, and then he's always quoting Sridhar Maharaj, and more than Srila Prabhupada. Sridhar Maharaj said like this, like that. So I can see that
Well,
a
what
lot of people.
Did Sridhar Maharaj say anything of value?
Um,
If so, what?
he was making like, oh, Sridhar Maharaj said like this, meaning he was making philosophical points.
Like what?
Meaning I
If
don't
Sridhar said
actually.
something, what did Sridhar say?
Yeah, I'll try to find some of that and send it to you. But
Well,
I
if
didn't
he
find.
said it, did he say anything specific?
Well, Sridhar Maharaj has written books and things like books, and and then he's quoting from those books. So I
Swami
was.
wrote books.
Yeah, Sridhar Swami wrote books. So no, the point I'm trying to say is that that's not the point. We know, but these people have no idea that what Prabhupada had wanted for ISKCON and how he wanted ISKCON to be run. It's
No, no,
his.
he destroyed ISKCON in Calcutta. Destroyed it with bogus melodies that he brought in from everywhere, and he confessed to me a lot of them were Jewish melodies from the Jewish hit parade in New York and stuff like that, and he had everybody believing that. And why he changed the shlokas or the verses to the songs to the acharyas in his book on the election of acharyas.
No, Narayan, you're breaking up.
Why did you change? Why did you change the? Why did you change Prabhupada's translation of the acharyas of the Narottam Das Thakur and whatnot? Why did you change their translation and take it away from Prabhupada's translation? You know what his answer was?
No, please tell us.
Prabhupada didn't do it right. I said, how do you mean Prabhupada didn't do it right? He said, if you translate word for word, I did it right, and Prabhupada took liberties with the translation. I said,
Wow.
yes, but Prabhupada's translation was poetic and conveyed the mood of Narottam Das Thakur, and yours is very stilted and is academic, but very stupid sounding.
Wow. Wow.
Wait, this was Sridhar Maharaj or Achutananda?
No, that's Achutananda.
Oh, okay.
As far as Sridhar is concerned, Sridhar pulled that trick that Ashok Thakur pulled in San Francisco at Art Theatra, standing in front of the rock stars and playing it with his festival. Sridhar did the same thing, got all of Prabhupada's disciples over without Prabhupada. And then the next day, the newspaper said these are all his disciples coming from America and Europe to see him. Totally crooked. The only thing that Sridhar has as a half-brained excuse is that he always considered himself the Shiksha Guru of Srila Prabhupada, because when Prabhupada was a householder, Sridhar helped put on programs and helped him write Back to Godhead magazine and stuff like that. So he figured that when Prabhupada got disciples, Prabhupada should rightly have stated that those disciples were really Sridhar's disciples and that Prabhupada was simply the go-between. In other words, no matter where you go, no matter what their garb, whether it's saffron or white or business suits or skin leather leggings and long hair and purple eyelashes, they're all a pile of shit. They're all bad people because they're all trying to take credit for the pure devotee.
Exactly. All trying to take credit.
So I think I have managed to devalue this whole idea of taking credit for the pure devotee by saying it's not about the pure devotee. It's about the message of the pure devotee and the purpose of the pure devotee. It has nothing to do with what the pure devotee looks like, nor essentially how he talked to his disciples. Quite frankly, I think we would be making a lot more progress spiritually if we didn't even concentrate or spend much time on dealing with Prabhupada's conversations with his initiates. It just confuses the issue. All they wanted was us to do, I came across the realization or understanding that Lord Chaitanya came to experience Radharani mood, and therefore as Radharani in the form of Chaitanya, he created Sankirtan to gather all the jivas in the golden Radharani gold age of Kali to glorify Krishna as is done in Krishna Loka. The difference is in Krishna Loka, they're all liberated souls to begin with. And here on earth, they're all conditioned souls to begin with. But in Krishna Loka, you don't get taught to chant Hare Krishna. You're in your rasa with Krishna, which is like chanting on steroids in every direction. Here, if you simply chant once, you've become engaged in the pastimes of Radha and Krishna, meaning Lord Chaitanya as Radharani and Lord Chaitanya also as Krishna. So that's become so transparently clear. That's why he wanted everyone to chant, because that's the mood of Radharani in the spiritual world, in Krishna Loka. He wanted everyone to chant Hare Krishna in order to try and or to recreate Krishna Loka on earth for the next 10,000 years. Now you can say that's a pretty big deal. This is Kali Yuga. How can you recreate Krishna Loka on planet Earth in 10,000 years? But the trick, the key, the snafu, is that you don't have to do that. All you have to do is get every jiva to hear the holy name of Krishna once, and get as many jivas as possible to utter the holy name of Krishna once or more. So if that's done, then he will have duplicated Krishna Loka, she, Radharani, through as Lord Chaitanya, would have duplicated the mood of Radharani on earth. Right? Now, when that comes up to personalities, like Prabhupada versus Sri, like all they're talking about, he's a material, he's addicted to his material body, and he's addicted, Chidananda's addicted to his material body, he's addicted to Sridhar's material body, and apparently he's less addicted to what he thinks is Prabhupada's material body. But I have come here to declare that the form of Srila Prabhupada, as transcendental, worshipable, and cherishable as it may be, is not the point. The pictures of Prabhupada are not the point. What he said to this devotee or that devotee is not the point. It makes zero difference because he came here with a sound of Chaitanya, Radha Krishna chanting the holy name of Krishna, coming through Chakravarti Gaur Krishna Das Babaji, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati, and Prabhupada, just like a fire hose filled with the holy name, pumping it out. And that's all Prabhupada came here to do. He didn't come here to make friends or to hold hands with a baby or, all the things he did. He didn't come here for that. That was just ways of relating to subhuman malachas, so that they would become kinestadikaris in ISKCON. Now, because ISKCON is composed of kinestadikaris, it's not at all surprising that they deviated all over the place. Why wouldn't they? They follow the regulated principles, worship the deity, take prasadam, and read some sort of what's left of Prabhupada's books. They're doing all they need to do to be kinestadikaris. Right? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So wait, is Ramachandra there?
Yes, I'm here, Narayan Prabhu. I'm listening. Yes.
Did you hear what I said?
Yes.
Or you were talking at the same time?
Yes. You have said this before a couple of times to me.
I said this, and it needs to be part of our, in my opinion, that's just me talking, is this needs to be essentially a reconfiguration of our sense of Prabhupada and a reconfiguration of ISKCON and a reconfiguration of Lord Chaitanya's movement and a complete reconfiguration of the Golden Age of Kali.
Yes.
And I'm happy that we somehow, by miraculous instance, the Golden Age of Kali, that we have understood that it is Prabhupada's instructions and his desire that counts. Horizontal chit-chat that appeared to be between embodied beings.
Yes.
Prabhupada was that. I would spend time with Prabhupada quite a lot, compared to many people. Others spend far more than I do. So, because of that, because Srila Prabhupada, I spent time with Prabhupada. I personally was caught in between Prabhupada, the transcendentalized personality with a pure message and pure consciousness from India, and transcendental messenger with no connection at all to planet Earth, to speak of India. But now it's time, we don't have time to fool around with the history of ISKCON. The history of ISKCON doesn't matter. all that matters about ISKCON is that they continue to chant Hare Krishna, that they continue to offer prasadam, and continue to be bodily conscious, because that's what the Kinnisadakari is. He's bodily conscious. Wouldn't you agree? Bodily conscious is the soul. We have to become soul conscious, not body conscious. I mentioned that to Lee. So can we agree? Do you agree in principle with what I just said? Hello?
Yes.
Okay, having agreed, you know, agreeing and understanding is two different things. We can agree and still wander into relativistic thinking instead of transcendental absolute thinking. But anyhow, let's just say that's what our goal is. Pure, unalloyed love of God. Pure, unalloyed love of God.
Narayan, remember to keep an eye on your bus stop so that you don't miss your stop.
Oh, I took the bus, got off at Westwood, and I'm almost back to, I've been walking back to almost there. I'll be nothing to catch. Westwood wasn't all that far away. Thank you for the reminder.
So
Yeah.
we have someone online, some new person. So maybe they can introduce themselves if they want, or
That'll
if they
be
like.
nice. And ask
His
them
name
what they
is
want.
Hardik Soni. Hardik Soni Prabhu, where are you from? Maybe you can talk a little bit about who you are.
Prabhu,
Hare Krishna.
I am
Hi,
from
Haribol.
India, Prabhu.
Yes, where are you from and how you got to know about our Zoom meetings? Did you see it on YouTube or Facebook or our group?
YouTube, Prabhu, YouTube.
Okay, try. So it's your turn now. You can ask questions to Narayan Prabhu. This is a discussion forum.
Or make statements.
Or make statements also, yes. About about Krishna consciousness, you know. What do you know about it? Or if you have
About what you want to accomplish in your lifetime.
yes.
Beyond just being a member of a group or a student. What do you want to do? Taking from the Guru his message and broadcasting it without limitation.
Yeah.
Rather than worshiping the Guru, or even taking shelter of the Guru, what we want to do is accept the intention and order of the Guru, reality, without any need for others to comment on it. Direct spiritual association, not body to body.
So if he's not asking a question, then I'll ask a question. We see that a lot of devotees are chanting Hare Krishna. That's great. You know, they're stuck in the Kanishta Adhikari. They make a group and this and that. But what about the movement that Srila Prabhupada started and how to expand it? Meaning that, yeah, chanting Hare Krishna, that's great. But how about the other aspects of what Srila Prabhupada wanted, how the movement to grow in every town and village? I've noticed a lot of senior devotees, meaning senior means, what I mean by that is like who have been in the movement and practicing for more than, you can say 30 or 40 years. They have no clue about how to restore the movement. You know, that's
Oh, to restore the movement, it has to be what Prabhupada wanted, which was
yes,
temples that are started from the ground up, not from the top down.
yeah. Even these devotees like Achyutanandana, they don't know anything about direction of management, how Srila Prabhupada wanted things set up, but they chant Hare Krishna. But I find it very difficult, at least for myself, to because I guess I'm in a different mood or in a different understanding than him. He's probably
You're in a different generation.
different generation. Yes,
Just like
exactly.
right now, we're experiencing in America something that my father and mother could not recognize, that I cannot recognize, that my kids could not recognize. But now the kids that are teenagers and becoming 21 years old today live in a completely different world that we cannot even begin to understand. So
Yeah,
similarly, you're in a different world that can't be understood. They say, oh, come and join the old folks in the ISKCON temple. And you think, but what are we supposed to be doing in the ISKCON temple? Oh, joining, giving money, collecting money. Do you know friends? Do you know who can come up with some money? Or do you want to distribute some change books? Or do you want to hang out with us? But that doesn't satisfy you because you belong to a different generation.
yeah. So I find it very difficult to associate with these people because they don't know all these things. They don't know about how Prabhupada wanted the society to go on for the next 10,000 years. They just want people to join the group, and it's very difficult.
Right, because for a very simple reason, why should they care about 10,000 years? They're going to be dead in less than 50.
Right.
10,000 years is a nice idea because 10,000 years is a nice idea, but it has nothing to do with me because I won't be here. Or
Yeah. Right.
Or so I say, or so I imagine. But I'm trying to say, considering how long it will actually take to be, if people were like Christians and could die and go to heaven, which I may add Christians can't do, because that's not how it works. It's a sales pitch. Christianity, the way it's preached, is a sales pitch, not for love of God, but for sin until you can sin no more, and then go to heaven afterwards by accepting salvation and forgiveness of Jesus. Well, doesn't work that way. I say it, but Prabhupada said it more strongly than I could. I'm getting into my elevator, I might break up, in which case we'll get back.
No problem.
Yeah, does it make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. Different generation, right?
We're at.
Okay, he's breaking up. Yeah. Let me mute him for a few seconds.
Find myself sort of like you do. You were back then. You knew all the early. You that we don't know because you were there. And I'm saying this is interesting. A whole fresh generation wants to know something, and there's no one prepared to tell them what that something is.
Yeah.
How you doing? What's more?
That's the thing. Even here in Sacramento, you saw the whole situation. They no one wants to know what happened and how to return to the original system of what Prabhupada wanted and how to do it.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
oh, beautiful. Yeah, have a good night.
Salam alaikum.
Okay, be careful.
You can
What's
say
Hare
also,
Krishna.
salam alaikum.
not my language?
What?
So I muted him. So Rupa Manjari Prabhu, what do you think? You listening?
Yes.
Yeah, there's a big generation gap, huh? I mean, even at Sacramento, remember we saw the whole thing. We're basically the same generation, but see the different mentalities of people.
Yeah.
Like, it's pretty interesting. Now I
Well,
saw,
Narayan is one of a kind.
right.
He's very intelligent, and he kind of channels what he says, you know?
What do you mean by that? Channels what he says. Can you explain?
Like he taps into a reality and he speaks from it, you know? Whereas
Ah,
most people don't have that ability that he has, you know?
that's a very good point. I never thought of it like that. Yeah, I see. Huh. Most people are just speaking like you and I, huh? Like
Yeah,
whatever comes to their mind, or whatever the thoughts they have in their head.
right.
Right.
But he's like inspired. And
Jai.
yeah,
Yeah,
he
that's why
stands.
he stands alone, and then
Yeah.
he's able to defend himself. And I saw with my own eyes that all these people run away from him. You saw, right? Ratiyatra, right? I mean, I saw that from all the ISKCON, all the ISKCON people, all the Prabhupada disciples, they don't even want to get close, because if they
Yeah,
hear him out, they will have to change their opinions. They'll have to change their
right,
views. They'll have to
right,
change how they think, how they act, what they believe.
right.
And this is this is something that people don't want to do, right?
Yeah.
So we're very reluctant to change. At least
They don't want to
I can see.
they don't want to go against the perceived authority figures.
Yeah, and how that is a stumbling block for them. I can see
You
that.
know what I say on that topic?
No, please say. What
They
do you say?
don't have to. They don't have to change. They want to be bodily conscious. That's their God-given right. Their consciousness you want to be. Bodily conscious, go for it.
Yeah,
What's the problem?
right.
The thing is,
Yeah.
we're presenting a Noah's Ark out of that mentality.
Uh-huh.
We're creating a way of stepping out of the Kanastadakari,
Yeah.
or refining Kanastadakari, perfecting Kanastadakari.
Jai. Are you back upstairs in the room?
I'm upstairs,
Oh,
sitting
okay.
in my chair.
You're sitting in your Roma Harshana Sutta. I
Yeah.
was listening to a Bhagavad Katha, and Roma Harshan got killed by Lord Balaram in
With a blade of kusa grass.
yes. And Roma Harshan, apparently, from what I hear from the acharyas, not the acharyas, but what the devotees are saying, is that Roma Harshan was speaking to the assembly of devotees and absorbed in Srimad Bhagavatam, meaning that he was reciting Srimad Bhagavatam, and when Lord Balaram appeared,
I think 80,000 sages had gathered.
yeah, and he was in so much ecstasy that he did not notice that, Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Balaram, is here. So Lord Balaram took that as an offense, and then, decapitated him with a kusha grass. And
Not
then,
decapitated, just stabbed him through the heart with a kusa grass.
okay. Oh,
But
stab him in.
it was not that he was in ecstasy.
He was not?
that no, who said that?
I heard it from somewhere. So go ahead, Narayan Prabhu. You tell the story now, then, Prabhu.
Well, do you think
that's
that Chudananda told you that?
No, it was not Achyutanandana. It was someone else.
Well, what is their authority?
His authority was he has read the Bhagavatam and he was telling that story, basically.
He's right there in the Bhagavatam. What
it's right
happened
there.
is he was sitting there in charge of that 80,000 people.
Right.
Just like when Sukadev Goswami came to talk to Maharaj Pariksit, everyone stood up to honor Sukadev except one person. And that one person was Vedavyas. The reason Vedavyas didn't stand up is because he was to be worshipped by Sukadev because he was his father.
Uh-huh.
So when Balaram came into the assembly, I think that Ramaharshan was thinking that he was thinking that the I'm sorry. He was thinking that since he was the chairman and the honored person, anyone coming in would recognize that and offer him some sort of respect. The fact that Baladev came in, who is the head of our Sampradaya and every other Sampradaya in existence, came in, he did not recognize that. Therefore, that was a deep disqualification on his part. And he did not sit up, and Baladev came toward him and stabbed him through the heart with a kusagrass.
But what was he doing? What was Ramaharshan Suta doing?
Everyone stood up except Ramaharshan.
No, I know,
Yeah,
but what was he doing?
It's
Do you
what
know
he
what-
didn't do. He didn't offer respects.
Oh, okay. He didn't offer respects to Lord Balaram, but was he speaking on the Srimad Bhagavatam, or what was he doing with the
I don't know if it
800,000?
was, I really don't know if it was the Srimad Bhagavatam, but I doubt it. He gathered the sages together, and I think that it turned towards the Srimad Bhagavatam after he was killed. But that's
Gotcha,
not a
gotcha.
problem. You can look it up in the Srimad Bhagavatam directly.
Yeah, that's what I'll do. That's what I'll do. Then
You can do it. You can do
when,
it now if you want on your computer.
Oh, I'm going home right now, so I'll do it in a bit, in a few minutes.
Oh,
So-
okay.
Oh, then from what I hear, I will have to verify this, that what I hear is that when he got killed, people complained that we were listening to Srimad Bhagavatam and you killed this person. So Balaram said, oh, that's what happened. So then he said, oh, his son will have all the knowledge of the Srimad Bhagavatam. And I forgot what was his son's name. Sutta Goswami, I think, or something like that.
Probably Sukadev. No, Sutta.
No,
Sutta Goswami.
no, Sutta. Yeah.
It has to be somebody very prominent. Sutta Goswami.
Yeah. So then, yeah, I'll look it up. So it's one of those personalities. They also heard. Well, they got the blessings from Lord Balaram, and they knew all the pastimes of the Srimad Bhagavatam. So that was his son, because Lord Balaram killed his father. And
Yeah,
then
but
he banned.
the way that person that talked to you was speaking, I am very suspicious of it in terms of authenticity.
Yeah, that's why I'm going to look it up. What actually happened? So.
Hare Krishna.
Jai Mahaprabhu's in the
Hey.
house.
All right.
Wow. It's just practically a minute ago that I gave you a big hug at Costco.
Always.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Enlightening discussion tonight,
Most certainly.
as
From now on,
always.
every conversation is going to be enlightened.
Hare Krishna. Hare Bol. Rupa Manjari.
Yes,
Dasi.
Haribol Prabhuji.
Hare Bol. Hare Bol.
Mahaprabhu in the house.
Rupa Manjari, at a very young age, actually got projected back into the time that Prabhupada was here because she and I worked so closely together. And this was a most remarkable thing that didn't happen with anybody else because most people are dealing with their own contemporaries. But she was dealing with somebody from previous generations ahead in the past. So she got the association of Prabhupada directly.
She's very intelligent.
Oh,
Brilliant,
gosh.
brilliantly intelligent.
Thank
Brilliant.
you.
Brilliant is the term.
I
Yes.
don't know about that, but thank you for the compliments.
All right.
Well, if you don't say anything, then no one will know you don't know about it.
That's right. How's everybody doing? Okay?
Yeah, doing good. Thank you.
Everybody staying in Krishna consciousness, transcendental?
Yes, Rupa Manjari has mystical connections. You know, when I went to check out of Costco, I found out that my EBT card didn't have any money on it, which means they didn't tell me the true story when they said the money would be on it on Saturday, which is today. And I found out I didn't have my debit card, my MasterCard from Citibank. And
You
then
were
I realized I must have left the card in the machine, so I had to use my little bit of cash to buy a few things, and I missed out on buying what I needed and wanted. So I scooted all the way back down to on my scooter. I scooted all the way back down to the bank. It wasn't in the slot. It wasn't in the garbage cans. I checked with the jumbo juice. It wasn't there. Then I came across and asked Nichols restaurant, and the manager had seen me looking through the garbage cans and I had a backpack on, so they probably thought I was a homeless person.
Mhm.
They told me right off the bat that I couldn't use the bathroom. I said, I'm not looking for the bathroom, I'm looking for my debit card. He said, well, we don't have it. And I said, well, why not ask the manager? The
Mhm.
manager looked, and there was my debit card. Somebody had brought it into that restaurant next door to the bank.
Wow.
And this is all because, as I explained to Rupa Manjari, that a woman, a pious woman, is like the goddess of fortune.
Mhm.
Mhm.
I drove down Glencoe and I saw the napkins full of red on the floor.
The what?
The napkins full of red.
What do you mean?
No,
I don't know if I should mention this, but Nayan Narayan fell this afternoon.
how did you find out?
I drove down Glencoe and I saw all the white. It looks like tissue paper. It was all full of red.
But I didn't have any tissue paper on Glencoe. I had
Oh, boy.
tissue paper in a restaurant, restaurant.
Mm.
And I went into the bathroom and cleaned off all the blood and put it in the trash. So whatever you saw was
Somebody else's.
amazing. It could be. Maybe it was a day for bloodshed.
Are you feeling okay?
I feel great.
You got lucky, you know.
You should have seen me before. I had blood all over my face.
Oh boy.
And people said, what happened to you? Are you okay? I said, I'm okay. You should see the other guy, though. They said, you know, I was going to try to help him afterwards, but they had to take him in an ambulance. But I was because he was in such bad shape after he bloodied my face, and I retaliated that I thought he might actually be getting the coroner's wagon.
You sent him to the hospital.
Or to the morgue.
Oh boy. Well, I'm glad you're feeling okay and everything worked out well, Nayan Narayan.
But how did you find out about the blood? And what made you, you must have talked to Rupa.
No, you told me.
How could I tell you?
When we were in the soundproof booth, you told me what happened.
But it hadn't happened yet.
No.
Or had it?
It had.
Oh no, it had happened. Yes.
Yes.
You saw my face, right? With the gouges. Yeah, that's right. I came to Costco after I went to the bank.
You told me a piston burst in your car. I thought it hit you in the head.
Oh yeah, that's what I was saying. No, that's why I was on a scooter instead of in a car.
Okay. Hari Bol, Hari Krishna, you're okay.
I'm fine.
You're-
I scooted for miles on the way home. And I
What
took
kind
the
of
bus
scooter?
part of the way.
What kind of scooter do you have? Do you have something like mine? Or
What?
what kind of scooter do you have?
No, I wish I had one like yours. That's why I was asking about yours. I have a Razor scooter, foot powered.
Oh, wow.
It's like a two-wheeled skateboard with handles.
Of your own?
Yeah, I bought it some time ago.
Oh, nice.
Do you want to see my wounds? Here they are.
Oh, boy. Oh, God. Well, they'll heal in about 3-4 weeks.
Faster than that.
Oh, boy.
Okay.
Is that from falling when you were on your scooter, Narayan?
Yeah, I hit a bump and I fell forward and hit my face on the cement.
Oh, boy. You got
It was
lucky.
quite a blow, you know. I didn't know what was going on. I was very disoriented afterwards.
You got to
This-
get a helmet, Narayan Prabhu. You got to get a
That's
helmet.
right. That's right.
Yeah.
Does Krishna protect us from those things?
Huh?
Does Krishna protect us from those situations? Does he intervene for us?
Well, it all depends. I've had Krishna intervene on a surprising number of occasions, but this was not one of them. At least I didn't smash out any teeth or lose an eye.
How do you
It was
know?
a minor wound.
How do you know which situation Krishna intervenes himself and when he doesn't?
Huh?
How do you know in which situations Krishna intervenes or doesn't intervene?
Well, I was in West Virginia, in Wheeling, West Virginia, demolishing a house to get lumber to build something in New Vrindavan. It didn't work out very well, but I did. And I was standing in a place and I heard a humming or whistling noise in my ear. And the guy, the owner of the house, that's an old Italian gentleman, he started applauding wildly. And I said, and I looked at him and said, "Why are you applauding?" He said, "I have never in my life seen a person jump as far or as quickly as you did." But I hadn't jumped. All that humming was a big timber falling off the top of the building. If it hit me, it would have killed me. So can you say that Krishna protected me?
Yes.
To the degree that he picked me up and moved me 6 feet away.
Mhm.
So that's a surprising thing to have happened.
Has Krishna intervened in any one of our lives that we can remember?
Huh?
I'm asking the group, has Krishna intervened in our lives that we can remember?
Can you say that again?
Has Krishna intervened in our lives in moments that we can remember? I guess it's a
Well,
group.
remember, are we talking about Krishna who you worship or Krishna who guides your every motion named Paramatma, Supreme Soul? It's also Vishnu in the heart. You mean that? Yeah, you've been, every time you've been saved by Paramatma.
So do you think that what happened to you today was supposed to happen?
No. But today was a day of continuous difficulties. So I think there was something astrologically that made a lot of things go wrong today.
Got it. When do we feel that Krishna is in our lives? How do we know that he's intervening in our lives?
You couldn't have said what you just said if Krishna hadn't empowered you to do it.
Mhm.
In other words, there's nothing in our lives that is not being guided by Krishna. But Krishna is guided according to our desire. So whatever we desire, Krishna guides us. That's why it's so important to only desire Krishna or spiritual life. Because if we desire anything else, he'll get us into it, even if it causes us the death penalty. As Krishna gives us what we want, not what we should have or what we should want.
Even if it's negative to our being?
Your being a spirit soul,
Yes.
nothing affects you as spirit soul. The spirit soul is part and parcel of Krishna. He's pure. The soul is pure by himself. But in the conditioned state, meaning the soul identifies with the body, then it's about the body, not the soul, that we are moving. Just like if a man wants to, attack a woman, rape her, and kill her, that is his desire, and Paramatma gives him the intelligence and ability to do it. Why would he do that? If God is good, why would God who is good do that? Because Paramatma's job is to satisfy Krishna. And we are part and parcel of Krishna. So whatever we want, Paramatma will make every effort to award it to us, even if it's a disaster.
So it's really up to us.
It's entirely up to us.
Hmm.
Did you ever see the movie Edward Scissorhands?
Yes.
Do you remember when Johnny Depp is standing there with his fingers clattering away, and Winona Ryder comes up and said, why, it was when the turning point, when he went from angel to devil something. Why, in their perception, why did you do that? Why did you allow us to do something wrong? Why did you burglarize my boyfriend's house? And then it created this nightmare for all of us. Why did you do that? And he stood there staring straight ahead and said, just like Paramatma, because you asked me.
Mm-hmm.
So think of all the things you're asking for in a given day. And guess why you get an answer. Either from Paramatma.
We are granted what we wish.
Yes.
Up to a point. We have to have the story, just like you can wish for a Cadillac, but if all you have is $1,000 in the bank, you will not be able to buy one. So you can only wish for what you can have if you expect to get it. There's an old saying that the girl had champagne taste and beer pocketbook. So it's really completely interactive. Everything is. We should like to think that, well, I decided not to listen to Krishna or pay attention to Krishna or follow Krishna or chant Hare Krishna. I decided not to do that. Does that mean that Krishna no longer guides you? Of course he guides you. He just guides you without the benefit of spiritual life, which means towards things that are not good.
So we got some people watching on our Facebook channel on YouTube.
That's nice.
They're saying that Is there an alternative to ISKCON's temples and farm communities? Then he says, in Tampa, Florida, we have an independent temple.
Can you repeat that? Repeat that carefully.
Yeah. Is there an alternative to ISKCON's temples and farming communities? Question mark. Then he says, in Tampa, Florida, we have an independent temple, only original Prabhupada books. This is in Tampa, Florida.
Yeah, this is nice.
Yeah.
So this is also Kanista Adhikari, but more
Yes.
authentic Kanista Adhikari.
Hmm.
It's still people relating to each other as people, meaning bodies. But it's a nice thing. The whole Davavanashram is Kanista Adhikari because people are relating to each other on the basis of their birth form, their bodies. And that's good because in that context, they can become very pious and very spiritual, more so than by living in the city.
Right. Okay.
Hare Krishna.
Okay, when Lord Balaram arrived, all the participants of the meeting, great sages, ascetics, brahmanas, and learned scholars immediately arose from their seats and welcomed him with great honor and respect. Some offered him respectful obeisances, and those who were elderly, great sages, and brahmanas offered him blessings by standing up. After this formality, Lord Balaram was offered a suitable seat, and everyone present worshipped him. Everyone in the assembly stood up in the presence of Balaram because they knew him to be and understand the Supreme Personality, learned him to be the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Education or learning means to understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, although Lord Balaram appeared on the earth as a Kshatriya, all the Brahmanas and sages stood up because they knew who Lord Balaram was. Unfortunately, after being worshipped and seated at his place, Lord Balaram saw Ramaharshan, the disciple of Vyasadeva, the literary incarnation of Godhead, still sitting on the Vyasasan. He had neither gotten up from his seat nor offered him respects. Because he was seated on the Vyasasan, this Vyasasan, he's the son or the disciple of Vyasadeva. Vyasasan means the seat for Vyasadeva. He foolishly thought himself greater than the Lord. Therefore, he did not get down from his seat or bow down before the Lord. Lord Balaram then considered the history of Ramaharshan. He was born in the Sutta family or mixed family, born of a Brahmana woman and a Kshatriya man. Therefore, although Ramaharshan considered Balaram a Kshatriya, he should not have remained sitting on a higher seat. Lord Balaram considered that Ramaharshan, according to his position by birth, should not have accepted the higher sitting position because there were many learned brahmanas and sages present. He also observed that Ramaharshan not only did not come down from his exalted seat, but he did not even stand up and offer his respects when Balaramji entered the assembly. Lord Balaram did not like the audacity of Ramaharshan, and he became very angry with him. When a person is seated on the Vyasasan, he does not generally have to stand to receive a particular person entering the assembly. But in this case, the situation was different because Lord Balaram is not an ordinary human being. Therefore, although Ramaharshan Sutta was voted to the Vyasasan by all the Brahmanas, he should have followed the behavior of other learned sages and Brahmanas who were present and should have known that Lord Balaram is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Respects are always due him, even though such respects can be avoided in the case of an ordinary man. The appearance of Krishna and Balaram is especially meant for a reestablishment of the religious principles. As stated in the Bhagavad Gita, the highest religious principle is to surrender under the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It is also confirmed in the Srimad Bhagavatam that the topmost perfection of religiousness is to be engaged in the devotional service of the Lord. When Lord Balaram saw that Ramaharshan Sutta did not understand the highest principle of religion, in spite of his having studied all the Vedas, he certainly could not support his position. Ramaharshan Sutta had been given the chance to become a perfect Brahmana because of his ill behavior in his relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. His low birth was immediately remembered. Ramaharshan Sutta had been given the position of Brahmana, but he had not been born in the family of a Brahmana. He'd been born in a Pratiloma family. According to the Vedic concept, there are two kinds of mixed family heritage. They're lower caste, the offspring is called Anuloma, but when a male unites with a woman of a higher caste, the offspring is called Pratiloma. Ramaharshan Sutta belonged to the Pratiloma family because his father was a Kshatriya and his mother a Brahmana. Because Ramaharshan's transcendental realization was not perfect, because his father was not a Brahmana, I understand. 1 second.
I think it's time for a video of Prabhupada.
Oh, you
put
want
what-
I want to finish this thing because of erroneous quote had been given earlier in the Zoom call.
Yes.
Okay, the Pratiloma heritage, the idea that any man can be given the chance to become a Brahmana, but if he is improperly uses the position of a Brahmana without actual realization, then his elevation to the Brahminical position is not valid. After seeing this deficiency of realization of Ramaharshan Sutta, Lord Balaram decided to chastise him for being puffed up. Lord Balaram therefore said, "This man is liable to be awarded the death punishment because although he has the good qualifications of being a disciple of Lord Vyasadeva, and although he has studied all the Vedic literature from this exalted personality, he was not submissive in the presence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. As stated in the Bhagavad Gita, a person who is actually a Brahmana and is very learned must automatically become very gentle also. In the case of Ramaharshan Sutta, although he was very learned, he had been given the chance to become a Brahmana. He had not become gentle. From this, we can understand that when one is puffed up by material acquisition, he cannot require the gentle nature befitting a Brahmana. His father wasn't a Brahmana, he was a Kshatriya, therefore he was not gentle. The hood of a serpent. Oh, the learning of such a person is as good as a valuable jewel decorating the hood of a serpent. Despite the valuable jewel on the hood, a serpent is still a serpent. It is as fearful as an ordinary serpent. If a person does not become meek and humble, all his studies of the Vedas and Puranas and his vast knowledge of the Shastra becomes simply outward dress, like the costume of a theatrical artist appearing, dancing on the stage. 1 second. Like Balaram began to consider, Lord Balaram began to consider this. Thus, I have appeared in order to chastise false persons who are internally impure, but externally pose themselves to be very learned and religious. My killing of such persons is proper to check them from further sinful activity. Lord Balaram had avoided taking part in the battle of Kurukshetra, and yet because of his position, the re-establishment of religious principles was his prime duty. Considering these points, he killed Ramaharshan Sutta simply by striking him with a kusa straw, which is nothing but a blade of grass. If somebody questions how Lord Balaram could kill Ramaharshan Sutta simply by striking him with a blade of kusa grass, the answer is given in the Srimad Bhagavatam by the use of the word Prabhu, Master. The Lord's position is always transcendental. Because he is omnipotent, he can act as he likes without being obliged to the material laws and principles. That was impossible for him to kill Ramaharshan Sutta simply by striking him with a blade of crucifix. Now, at the death of
Got it.
Ramaharshan Sutta, everyone present became much aggrieved, and there was roaring, crying. Although all the brahmanas and sages present there knew Lord Balaram to be the supreme person of Godhead, they did not hesitate to protest the Lord's action, and they humbly submitted. Our dear Lord, we think that your action is not in with religious principles. Dear Lord Yadunandana, we may inform you that we brahmanas posted Ramaharshan Sutta on that exalted position for the duration of this great sacrifice. He was seated on the Vyasasan by our election. If one is seated on the Vyasasan, it is improper for him to stand up to receive a person. Moreover, we rewarded Ramaharshan Sutta an undisturbed duration of life. Under the circumstance, since your lordship has killed him without knowing all these facts, we think that your action has been equal to that of killing a Brahmana. Dear Lord, deliver of all fallen souls. We know certainly that you are the knower of all Vedic principles. You are the master of all mystic powers. Therefore, ordinarily, the Vedic injunction cannot be applied to your personality, but we request that you show your causeless mercy upon others by kindly atoning for this killing of Ramaharshan Sutta. We do not, however, suggest what kind of act you should perform to atone for killing him. We simply suggest that some method of atonement be adopted by you so that others may follow your action, which is done by a great personality, is followed by ordinary men. So then, differently than has been stated before, the Lord replied, yes, I must atone for this action, which may have been proper for me, but is improper for others. Therefore, I think it is my duty to execute a suitable act of atonement enjoined in the authorized scriptures. Therefore, I could also give this Ramaharshan Sutta life again with a span of long duration, sufficient strength, and full power of his sentence. Not only this, if you desire, I shall be glad to award him anything else which you may ask. I shall be very glad to grant all these boons in order to fulfill your desires. The statement of Lord Balaram definitely confirms